Compared to the NBA's Most Valuable Player Award, the Defensive Player of the Year Award or DPOY is a more straightforward recognition in the sense that it's less prone to voter fatigue as well as contextual narratives. Looking at it, Dikembe Mutombo won it 4 times in 7 years, Ben Wallace won it 4 times in 5 seasons, and even more recently, Rudy Gobert won DPOY 3 times from 2018 to 2021. So the scary question is, how many DPOY awards will Victor Wembanyama win when all is said and done, considering the fact that as a rookie, he's already a one-man defensive force in a way like we've never seen before. In fact, Wemby might already have a strong case to win DPOY by the end of the season. Cause looking at the numbers, he's currently averaging 3.2 blocks per game, which leads the NBA, but aside from that, the 1.1 steals per game he's averaging also ranks 29th in the entire league, making him one of only 3 centers to rank in the top 30 of steals per game, together with Nikola Jokic and Isaiah Hartenstein. But I think what's more impressive with what Wembanyama's been doing is that he's blocking all these shots and disrupting opponents without really getting into foul trouble, as his 2.9% foul rate ranks in the 85th percentile among all big men, which is a better foul rate than what other elite defensive bigs such as Rudy Gobert, Brook Lopez, and Chet Holmgren have been putting up this season. Well, rookie big men have always struggled with foul trouble as they navigate the complexities of NBA-level pick-and-roll defense. But here, while guarding the Bucks pick-and-roll, knowing that Giannis is about to blow by the screen, Wemby stays solid on the drop as he absorbs the full-speed shoulder from Giannis before completely stifling him at the basket. Again, in this Cavs pick and roll, this should have been an easy lob from Mitchell to Jarrett Allen, but you can see Wemby taking up so much space as the drop defender as he easily deflects the entry pass with his length. But if the traditional numbers don't impress you that much, it's also worth noting that even the advanced numbers also display Wembanyama's defensive dominance. Looking at it, 3 of the more publicly available advanced defensive metrics such as the defensive estimated plus-minus, the defensive Bucks plus-minus, and the defensive LeBron all rank Wemby as a top 10 defender as well, putting him alongside Knicks big man Isaiah Hartenstein as the only players to rank in the top 10 of all 3 defensive metrics this season. So what's good everyone, it's Real Balls here, and in this video, let's dive deeper into the scary defensive trajectory of Victor Wembanyama and what actually supports his case to become potentially the first rookie DPOY in NBA history. Let's get to it. First of all, it's worth noting that Victor Wembanyama was drafted as part of a San Antonio Spurs roster that as of last season had the worst defensive rating of all time. He practically joined the same roster, but with his arrival, Wemby's been able to drag the team into respectability, and this is no exaggeration. Cause looking at it, when Wembanyama is sitting on the bench, the Spurs give up 124 points per 100 possessions on defense, which makes them the worst defensive team in the entire league by a wide margin. But when Wembanyama is on the floor, their defensive rating drastically improves to 114 points per 100, which would make them the 16th best defense in the entire league this season. More notably, that 10-point on and off differential that Wembanyama produces ranks in the 98th percentile of the entire league, which just basically means that Wembanyama transforms one of the worst defenses in the entire NBA into something average when he is on the court. And basically, Wembanyama does this by primarily changing the trajectory of any shot that's around him using his 7-foot frame, his 8-foot wingspan, and his solid mobility for a guy his size. Looking at it, opponents are shooting just 52% at the rim when he is the nearest defender, which is a slightly better mark than that of Rudy Gobert. Plus, according to Second Spectrum's defender shot impact metric, Wembanyama also lowers the probability of an opponent's shot converting by a greater percentage than anyone in the NBA, regardless of where he is on the court. So statistically, there's definitely a powerful argument here that Wembanyama is indeed the best defender in the NBA right now. And the crazy thing is, many of those statistical metrics have only gotten better since the first month and a half of the season due to Wembanyama playing with a minutes restriction. So now that we've looked into a ton of numbers, let's now turn into the film and the eye test, which also shows the tremendous defensive impact that Wembanyama brings on the court. Well, coming into his rookie year, despite him being named as the French League's best defender during his pre-draft season, one knock on Wembanyama's defense is that he was too easy to shift off balance and that his hips were also too slow to turn. However, as we've seen so far in the NBA, Wemby has actually been able to improve in those areas as he's been capable of holding his own even against much quicker players. Just like here, you can see Wemby guarding Ja Morant in isolation. Watch how balanced Wemby is as he stifles the initial blow-by Morant, and even on the crossover, he's easily able to turn his hip as he catches Morant with a block. Then here, Wemby starts by defending Kawhi Leonard as he attacks off the screen. He follows Kawhi into the paint, but as soon as Kawhi makes the kick out to James Harden, Wemby recognizes Westbrook open on the weak side, so he runs to the corner, and you can just see how he matches Westbrook speed for speed before erasing his shot in the paint. Then here, you can see Wemby patrolling the paint, preparing to guard the pick and roll. He smartly maintains a deep drop to meet Scoot Henderson, and while Henderson initially gets him with a shoulder fake, Wemby's able to block him with the right hand anyway. But Wembanyama isn't some stiff big man either who's limited to blocking shots around the paint. He can run across the floor and eat up shots using his length when opponents least expect him to catch them. In this play, you can see Chris Paul trying to get to his spot, but with Wemby in front of him, he makes the mistake of setting up his favorite fadeaway jumper as Wemby's still able to get to him, forcing the air ball. Then here, you can initially see Wemby providing the double team on the post, but as Giannis makes the kick out to Brook Lopez, watch the amount of ground that Wemby covers as he rotates to the corner, just in time to erase any sort of daylight from Pat Connaughton's three-pointer. Also, at the beginning of the season, Wemby sort of struggled with the timing of when to help and when to stay home on defense. He would chase blocks he couldn't get to and then watch a driver blow by him. But now, Wemby's starting to find the right balance as a disciplined defender. And although the biggest players in the NBA can still mash him under the basket, there are times when he just single-handedly destroyed possessions against some elite NBA bigs. Here, watch how Wemby just straight up absorbs the contact from Brook Lopez before blocking him in the paint. Giannis recovers the loose ball and tries to catch Wemby on a shot fake, but Wemby's still able to recover, knocking the ball out of Giannis' hands. Then here, you can see Rudy Gobert trying to seal position against Wemby on the post. Wemby's length forces Gobert to make the pass to Towns, who's about to drive, but at this point, Wemby just chills on the paint, waiting for Cat to make a mistake as he just straight up blocks him on the shot attempt. But the scary thing about what Wembanyama's doing is that there are still clear areas for improvement on his defensive game, which is to be expected for a rookie. To be fair, Wemby still tries to close out really high on shooters, and while it definitely discourages opponents from shooting, it also causes Wemby to be susceptible to blow-bys. Then you could say that he's also still quite jumpy when defending in space, but just imagine what happens when Wembanyama gets better in a lot of those things. And sure, Rudy Gobert would most likely win DPOY this season as the main anchor of the Minnesota Timberwolves' top-rated defense, but looking at it, it's just straight up mind-blowing looking at how Wembanyama's trajectory as a defender might unfold in a few seasons when you compare it to that of other elite big men. Looking at this comparative chart from the Darko defensive career progression metric, you'll find the defensive outlines from Wembanyama, Brook Lopez, Giannis, Rudy Gobert, and Jaren Jackson Jr. mapped out beginning in their age 20 seasons. And as you can see, Wembanyama's defensive improvements on a game-to-game basis is literally looking like a straight line, suggesting that he's going to surpass all his defensive big man counterparts in terms of accomplishments in no time. But for sure, linear improvement isn't guaranteed in the NBA, because to be fair, moving forward, you could expect opposing teams to keep developing schemes in terms of how they would be able to keep Wembanyama out of place and how they could neutralize his defensive impact. Still, whatever the case may be, there's a real solid chance that Wembanyama is the most deserving DPOY candidate to win that award by the end of the season. The only question is, will the NBA actually give him that award considering that the league has never named a rookie DPOY before? What's even more interesting is that if he's going to win DPOY this season, it's going to be hard for him not to win most of those DPOY awards for much of the next decade, considering this is probably going to be the worst defensive version of Wembanyama we'll be witnessing in a while. But regardless, just the fact that Wembanyama's already building a strong case as the NBA's best defender at age 20 while playing for a basement-dwelling team like the Spurs is already beyond impressive, and you could just imagine how much more profound his defensive impact would become once the Spurs start to surround him with a more solid supporting cast. But what do you guys think? Does Victor Wembanyama really have a shot at winning DPOY as a rookie this season? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. Again, this is Real Balls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.